Today to talk about cleaning a sludge trap on a Triumph Twin. Also, BSA and Norton twins use the same technology. Sludge traps as a centrifuge which pulls sludge out of the oil because you need some type of filtration system for your oil, and that's what they used back in the day, was a centrifugal sludge trap. Now I'm going to show you how to take it out, and I'm going to try to keep it simple and explain why it's important to clean the sludge trap and what you can do today to adapt your engine to the modern oil that we see today on the market versus the oil that these things were designed to run on. So let's start. Now, one of the things that people don't get about this motor, Triumph engine, or a lot of British bike engines, because this is pretty typical where they oil. The oiling system is so crude and simple. It doesn't need to be fancy. Simple is good. Okay. Complicated is easy. Simple isn't. What happens with a Triumph engine, obviously, is you got an oil pump and it's inside this cover on the crankcase. It's pretty simple. All right, the oil pump sits and resides in this vicinity here. Now it's bolted to the crankcase. The oil is fed from gravity to the pump. The pump then pumps it through a galley right here into this cavity, which you can see there's a seal in here. Now that seal, when the engine's assembled, fits on the end of the crank like this. Okay, now that seal will hold 125 pounds, okay, of pressure. You're going to use a British seal. Okay, don't use a Taiwan seal in there. These are 70 4568P, meaning Pioneer. That's a Pioneer Wesson seal. You must use a Pioneer Wesson seal. Okay, now the oil is pumped through the end of this crank right here. See, this hole goes all the way inside the crank, and then it comes up in this hole right here, this oil galley, and then feeds your connecting rods, which are fed through these holes here. Okay, that's the oiling system for a Triumph. It's just that simple. The oil's fed through the end of the crank, through the main jet, and it bleeds out the journals and splashes around. Your oiling system is done. That's why it's so important to clean the sludge trap. Now, there's a couple of other issues. One of them is, it's very simple. Today, where are you going to get oil that was designed for this engine? Okay, they used to use Castrol 50-weight GP oil. It was really good oil, but it didn't have all the detergent additives that oil has today. So what do you think happens today when you put detergent oil in a motor like this? Okay, if it's an old motor, it's going to loosen up all this stuff, all this sludge, and that sludge is going to be circulating inside your engine. That's not good, all right? So you clean your sludge trap, you get it all clean, and then guess what? Add an external oil filter, because you can't get oil, non-detergent, 50-weight oil, with the proper lubric properties that this engine needs on the market today. You just can't buy it. So take that precaution. Use the oil filter to prevent the sludge from building up or loosening up in the crank, because it won't build up because you have an oil filter. So you're using detergent oil, use a filter. Very simple. Okay, we're going to clean a sludge trap on a Triumph crankshaft today. This is a mid-60s. It's a light flywheel. You'll notice over here that it's a Virgin, and because you can tell because it only has one single punch mark right here. It's a factory prick punch. Now, we don't need to get carried away with this thing. Okay, these things go pretty easy if you follow this simple procedure. You take a drill twice the size of the prick punch. Okay, doesn't have to be giant, and you don't have to drill deeply. And you just carefully drill straight. Okay, so you just drill it like that, and you can show them that. Go ahead and zoom in on that so they can see. See that? You just drill it just enough so that the stake is gone. Okay, then what you do, okay, is you heat the shit out of this thing. And I mean, heat it up. What happens when you know when it's hot, you don't want to overheat it, but when it's hot, you'll notice that the oil that's in the sludge inside will start to ooze out around the threads, okay? You'll see it. It'll start to get wet around the threads. That's when it's hot enough. What we're doing is we're heating it up for one reason, to break down the Loctite compound the factory put on the plug, okay? And You can zoom in on this and you can show them. See the stuff, see the wet coming out, see it? Alright, this happens every time. And you just heat that thing, and you'll see that wet coming out. Watch it start to come out everywhere. Once I think it's hot enough, we're almost there. Got to spit on it. Make sure it's hot enough. And you'll notice I'm heating the plug, not the crankshaft. There's a reason for that. Good. If you don't spit on it, it won't come out. That's a little trick. Okay? You get your bit, you make sure your bit fits in there good, and put your chest in there. Make sure you get it going in the right direction, okay? Look at that, huh? What do you think of that? Pretty easy, right? Okay. Now I'll show them the goo inside their crank, and why it's always a good idea to clean your sludge shaft. Look at that bubbling goo in there. You don't want that in your motor, do you? Of course not. Okay, step 2. Torch again. Boy, is that stinky. Used to know this guy in 1st grade. Every day he'd shit his pants. Every afternoon, shit his pants. Right? The 1st grade teacher, Mrs. Wheeler, you know, she was a riot. She was like 98 years old. She taught in the school since it opened in 1834. And she'd have I had to get up and lead Bruce to the bathroom. His name was Bruce. And help him clean his shitty pants. Well, the stinky crank reminds me of that. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm heating up the flywheel retaining bolt, which also retains the sludge trap tube. Okay? And you gotta heat it up, break down the Loctite, same reason. Pretty simple shit. Okay? Now this bolt on this crank this is a British size wrench. You don't want to get carried away. But that thing, see, will come right out of there. No damage to the thread, no damage to the bolt. You don't use air on it. You'll break it and crack it and you'll put it back in and then it'll come out later when you don't want it to. Okay? That son of a gun's hot. Don't be grabbing onto that. Don't be putting your tongue on there. Alright, once you get that bolt out, now comes the hard part. Here's what I suggest. Get yourself a good, screwdriver, good size. Scoop out some of this nasty stuff. Okay, this is sludge. You don't want to do not eat this. Okay? Okay, do not eat this. Alright? You get some of that sludge out of there. Okay? That's just some of it, because this thing is packed. You take one of these. Okay, this is an easy out, pretty big one. You buy it at the hardware store. It'll set you back probably 25 bucks. It's worth it. Right? So what if you're only doing one? Get that located in there. Okay? And grab yourself a medium ball peen and smash it in there. Okay? Pretty simple shit. Okay? If I can do it, anybody can do it. I like this wrench. I've been using this wrench since I was a teenager. Okay, this wrench, and you just crank that thing and pull on it at the same time. There's the sludge trap right there. Out, done, finished. Okay? The rest of it's hard. You got to clean it all out of there with a brush and stuff. That's how to remove a sludge trap. It's just that simple.